Yo, before we even start this reaction video, can we just at least acknowledge something? That Gen X, that's me, I'm Gen X, might be the last generation thrown into the world with a zero safety net. Like no safety net whatsoever. No Google, no GPS, no therapy apps. This video that we're about to watch argues that it made Gen X tougher. We're just tougher. We're more resourceful. We're more independent. And honestly, there's a lot of truth to that. And quite frankly, there's a lot of things we just don't give a fuck about anymore, to be honest with you. So if you grew up with cassette tapes, Blockbuster, oh man, I loved Blockbuster on a Friday night. Rotary phones, ooh, the rotary dial telephones. We gotta talk about that and the long ass cords. Be home before the street lights come on. That was every night. My stepdad had a whistle. Woo, 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 woo. I'd hear it. You gotta come home. So today we're gonna break down the good, the exaggerated, and the stuff that absolutely nailed Gen X. That's me. Let's go.
There's a generation everyone forgot to talk about. They're not boomers, they're not millennials, they're not Gen Z. They're the ones who came home to empty houses after school, who learned to solve problems before Google existed, who watched their parents get laid off after decades of loyalty, and quietly decided corporate devotion was a scam.
Okay, I wouldn't say laid off, but I'm from Peoria, Illinois, as some of my friends will watch this video. Went through some strikes because it was UAW. So I remember going through the strikes. My dad wasn't a big fan of the strikes. He thought they made way too much money to start with, being a union worker. I mean, they make more money back then in the 80s than we do as minimum wage workers right now. But during the strike, we just cut firewood, and that was awful. My dad and I subsidized our entire family with just cutting and splitting and selling firewood, and sometimes up to 3 truckloads a day. And I got poison ivy every single season without question. Even if my dad and I both got the shots for poison ivy, but we both got poison ivy every single season. And that's how I remember growing up in the 80s with the Caterpillar UAW father on strike. Was all I did was cut firewood, man. Split firewood, moved firewood, sold firewood.
Gen X. Born between 1965 and 1980, they're
Real quick, 1968.
sandwiched between two louder generations. And because they're not out here demanding attention or explaining themselves on social media, most people assume they don't have much to say. But here's the truth. Gen X built a specific set of strengths that neither the generation before nor after them developed, because they were shaped by a world that doesn't exist anymore. A world where you couldn't Google the answer, where your parents weren't hovering, where you had to figure it.
Hey, that's for sure. I mean, my parents, they were definitely not hovering, but you couldn't look anything out. You had to figure shit out on your own, and you had to ask questions to figure it out. Otherwise, you get left behind. And who wants to get left behind? You want to be involved with life.
Figure it out or stay stuck. If you're Gen X, or you recognize these patterns in yourself, these 7 strengths are probably already operating in the background of everything you do. You just never stop to name them. Strength 1, self-reliant. Gen X were the Latchkey kids. They came home to empty houses because both parents were working.
Okay, that was me 100%, but that was only through grade. After my parents first got divorced when I was 4, I went from Peoria, Illinois to East Peoria, Illinois. Oddly enough, I was behind in education because of the difference in school systems. Like, for instance, I didn't learn my months of the year in Peoria educational system. Moved to East Peoria, they had already learned them. So they just skipped that on me. I had to learn them on my own. And then my mother was working at Caterpillar, but then once my stepfather stepped up and just basically said, I don't want you to work. I want you to be a stay-at-home mom, which was the most amazing thing ever. But for that, like, I want to say it was like a 3-year period. That would have been from 4th grade through the 6th, 7th grade, where I was a latchkey kid, meaning there was nobody at my house when the bus dropped me off. It was just me and a hidden key Actually, we didn't even have to lock our doors. We had a garage door button that you could push and just walk up. Like any person on planet Earth could walk up to my house and push a button and open our garage door up. But you couldn't get into the house unless you knew where the key was hidden in the behind the garage or in the tool shed in the front of the garage. Anyways, this is funny because this is so prevalent of latchkey kids.
Because single-parent households were rising and there was no other option. No one was there to help with homework. No one was monitoring screen time or scheduling playdates. No one was micromanaging their afternoon. They just figured it out, made their own snacks, did their own homework, solved their own problems, entertained themselves. And
for me, when I got home as a latchkey kid, I lived in a neighborhood, so off of Springfield Road in East Peoria, Illinois, and there was just a ton of kids at that point. So everybody kind of congregated, and there was a baseball lot. It was an empty lot across the street from my house, and then I had the basketball hoop at my house at the top of the street. So it was never an issue with figuring out what was going on. It was like, just we're meeting up, and this is what we're doing. And there was just a lot of outdoor activity, a lot of going into the woods, building cabins, like cutting down trees, building BMX tracks, building baseball diamonds. I mean, riding motorcycles, motocross down into the woods and making new trails. It was a never-ending outdoor extravaganza. And I don't think that happens anymore. I mean, I know it doesn't happen anymore. Kids don't do that shit.
And that built something specific. The ability to function independently without needing someone else to guide, validate, or rescue them. This isn't the same as millennial or Gen Z independence. Those generations had Google, they had forums, they had YouTube tutorials and Reddit threads. Gen X had none of that. If they needed to know something, they had to find a book, ask someone in person, or trial and error their way through it. So when life throws something unexpected at them now, they don't freeze. They don't immediately crowdsource the answer. They just handle it, not because they're tougher, because they've been doing it since they were 8 years old. Strength.
Hey, that's no joke. I learned how to drive an International Harvester pickup truck stick shift when I was 11 years old. My dad taught me in Brimfield, Illinois, how to drive that. He taught me by screaming at me every time I grinded the gears for I was already almost, 5'10", 5'11". I'm 6'4" now, but I was able to push the clutch all the way in. But it was a horrible clutch. But we learned how to do shit at an early age, and we were given like this kind of just complete freedom at a young age too. And there's reasons for that. There wasn't, a worry of someone, kidnapping you, or I'm sure it was happening, but you could come home and it was just a whole neighborhood of children that would congregate I'm talking about from like kindergarten all the way up to like senior in high school, that we knew our, who we hung out with, but we would all congregate and figure out who's skateboarding or building this or playing this or, who was into what. And that's just the way it was. And that was such a good time. I'm blessed to be from this generation. I'm glad to be a Gen Xer.
Strength 2, self-taught. Gen X lived through one of the biggest technological shifts in human history, and they mastered both sides of it. They grew up analog, rotary phones,
the phone,
handwritten notes passed in class, no internet, no cell phones. If you wanted to reach someone, you called their house and talked to whoever picked up.
Hey, and real quick, so there's a couple things here. First of all, you had the cord, so everybody had the long cord in their house where you could take the phone from like the main phone was in the kitchen, and you could bring that bitch all the way to the back bedroom or like dining or like just little den back there with the TV, and it'd always be all caught up and everything. And it was, if you were on the phone, you're on the phone. There's no clicking in or calling in or looking at apps. The phone was busy. And when you're a teenager, my parents were divorced at the time. My dad's a crazy motherfucker, so he figured out how to break through the line. Now, people that are Gen Xers will know this. if you're on the phone a long time talking to a girl or whatever, you know, teenage girls could be, or a guy talking to a girl, you're going to be on the phone for fucking hours, right? And my dad would be trying to call the house and he would lose his fucking mind. And he figured out how to get a hold of the operator, and the operator would break through your line and say, you have an emergency that we need to interrupt your call from Larry Hood. My dad, I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta go. I gotta go. And then the next thing you hear is just, what the fuck are you? Just screaming at the top of his lungs about what the fuck, and who knows what it was about, but do not piss my dad off. He is a fucking violent screamer.
First, if you wanted to meet up, you made a plan and showed up. If they didn't show, you waited or left.
Yeah.
No text updates, no running 10 minutes late. Then everything changed. Email, smartphones, social media, remote work.
So, and a lot of Gen Xers will get this. My internet hub was my mother, right? And that kitchen telephone. So if it was a weekend, if it was Friday night, all the way up from when you first get your driver's license or even before that, what's going on? Well, call my house. My mom will have the information for you. She'll say, well, as far as I know, he's going to be going to this, and this, and this, or whatever event. It was, you know, there's teen dance club, or there was parties, or it could have been like a baseball game or a football game or whatever. My mom always kind of had an idea where I was going to be. And then people would call there. And this could literally, I'm not even kidding, through the daisy chain, without the internet, this could turn into like a 500-person party out in a cornfield if enough people had called my mom, and then it just spread like wildfire. That's crazy.
Cloud storage, apps for literally everything. And Gen X learned it all. Not because they're naturally tech savvy, because they had to be. They were in the workforce when everything went digital. They couldn't opt out, couldn't just say, I'm not good with computers, and expect to keep their job.
No, and that's another thing, for sure. 100%. As you can see right now, I figured it out. I just figured it the fuck out, because that's our generation. We were left to just figure it out. Hey, buddy, you don't know how to do it? Well, fucking figure it out. And that's Gen X right there.
So they learned Word, then Excel, then email, then smartphones, then Zoom, then Slack. They watched millennials and Gen Z grow up as digital natives, fluent in technology from birth. But Gen X had something those generations don't.
Yeah.
They understand both worlds. They can have a face-to-face conversation without checking their phone. But they can also navigate any software. Strength 3, bullshit detector. Gen X grew up skeptical. They were raised during Watergate, watched corporate America.
It's not even that. It's just, you know, my dad's a hillbilly Marine from West Virginia, and just the bullshit detector on him alone growing up was off the charts. So I was like pre-programmed to just 100% not trust anything or anybody. I mean, you did as a kid, as far as no one's going to harm you, but just the bullshit meter was off the charts. And that's no bullshit right there.
America betray their parents' loyalty with mass layoffs and came of age during the grunge.
That's why when you hear about Gen X like being the silent gen, it's because we're not silent because we don't want to say something. It's because we're just like analyzing your bullshit.
Era when cynicism was the default setting. They learned early, don't trust the marketing, don't believe the hype, question authority. So they have a finely tuned bullshit detector that younger generations are still developing.
How about it?
They can spot performative authenticity from a mile away. They know when someone's selling them something disguised as advice. They see through corporate jargon and influencer speak. They're not bitter about it, they're just not buying it. This makes them excellent at cutting through noise. They don't get swept up in trends just because everyone else is. They don't follow gurus without questioning the motive. They ask the uncomfortable questions. They wait for proof. They trust their gut when something feels off. And in a world where everyone's trying to sell you something, that's a rare and valuable strength. Strength 4, unfiltered. Here's a big one people don't talk about.
Wait, what? Rodney Hood talks real talk, real laughs, zero filters?
Gen X learned to handle conflict face to face. They didn't have the option to subtweet, couldn't send a passive-aggressive text.
Oh, hell no.
Couldn't post a vague story and wait for someone to ask what's wrong. If you had a problem with someone, you dealt with it in person,
100%.
Or on the phone in real time.
And I've noticed that too. Eye contact is unavailable with like younger people now. When I try to talk to somebody like in person, I'll be looking around for their eyes because it's down here, and I'm like, hey, I'm right here. Look, it's very important that we make eye contact when we're having a dialogue, because then I know you're listening and you're going to get it. And they probably don't anyways. But either way, you kind of have their attention. So that's huge in this day and age. Look them in the eye. Have purpose in your conversation. Man, life's going to be tough if you don't do that.
And that built a completely different skill set. They learned to regulate their emotions in the moment, to have hard conversations without a script,
right.
To read body language and tone, to sit in discomfort without an escape hatch. This doesn't mean they're all great at conflict, but they have more practice doing it directly than generations raised on digital communication. They're less likely to let things fester, less likely to avoid confrontation until it explodes, more likely to just say the thing and deal with the fallout. And in workplaces and relationships,
that's an important thing that he just said. We're just going to go ahead and say it and then fucking apologize later, because sorry about it. It needed to be said, so we're just going to and I don't know that people do that anymore, or you let me know in the comments. Maybe they do, but I just know our generation we're going to let you know where you stand, and if you don't like it, then fuck it. Life comes up on you very fast, people, and then all of a sudden you're here doing a YouTube video about Gen X. Blockbuster was just a good feeling, man, because it was the weekend. You knew that you were going to go down there, and there's going to be, you might see people, you went to school with or high school with, or from your hometown or your neighborhood or whatever. And then you got to see the new movie releases. There was no internet, so you couldn't check out and see what was going to happen or what the new releases were. You had to go to Blockbuster to do it. And just the excitement about walking in there and then going section by section and, talking about each movie and engaging with other people that were in Blockbuster. There's none of that now. Now you just simply, get online and plug your movie in and you watch it. And if it sucks, it sucks. You had no way of knowing. But, and then bringing that cassette tape home and putting it into the VHS machine, or the VCR, right? VCR machine. And then mom would always make a big old bowl of popcorn. Oh, just that, not air popped. I mean, pan or, stovetop popcorn, buttered, salted, in the huge Tupperware green bowl. And then we would all sit around and have movie night and watch whatever movie, for better or worse, Blockbuster. And then people would talk about it at work, or that's where the water cooler thing came in. But that was an actual thing. Going to Blockbuster was huge. That was like how you figured out what you were doing for the night. And, how exciting is that? It's almost like going to the movie, but bringing the movie to your house. And then we don't have that anymore. It's just the movies are constantly there.
Broke. You didn't get a new one. You fixed it.
Oh, yeah.
Or asked someone who knew how. Wanted to hear a song. You waited by the radio with your finger on.
That's another thing about, I don't know if people still do this or not, but at my age, everybody in my neighborhood had a BMX bike or a skateboard or, baseball glove, or we played basketball, everything. There was a thing. But everybody was into bikes. And we all knew how to, because our dads worked at Caterpillar and they all had tools, we all knew how to break down our bikes. I could break down any kind of bike by the time I was probably 9 or 10 years old, all the way down to like the frame, and put it back together and grease all the bearings and, replace parts and trade things out. I don't know that that's a thing now. I don't know. Leave it in the comments. Do kids these days, do they know how to take apart a bike and put it back together? Or change a tire even? I don't know. Let me know.
On the record button, ready to capture it on cassette tape. Entertainment wasn't infinite. Products weren't disposable. If something broke, you fixed it because replacing it wasn't always an option. That built a completely different relationship with stuff. Gen X learned to make things last, to repair instead of replace,
so
to improvise when the thing they needed wasn't available.
One thing I got to touch on is being a Latchkey kid and also having a Yamaha YZ80 motocross bike. If you don't know what that is, it was the first year of the monoshock. It was a 2-stroke motocross bike. I got that. I think I was 11 when my dad bought me that. My dad was, crazy, like hillbilly Marine, always in fights and a biker and always in jail. But he was a good provider. But he bought me a motorcycle, and that was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me as a kid. And just to give you an idea about Gen X, I would come home and from school and gas up my bike, and I would go over the side of the hill into I was in East Peoria, Illinois, so we had a lot of hills down in the Illinois River Valley, and there was the Caterpillar Proving Grounds. If you don't know what that means, that's where Caterpillar would take their giant, machinery, their earth movers, and they would try them out, so there was these proving grounds, that's what they call them. And I could go from my house across Springfield Road over the hill down into the valley and get to those with a YC80, with the Yamaha, with a motocross bike. All my friends had. Patrick Kepi had his Honda. Dean Agatushi had his bikes, and his brother Kevin, and then Rick Nairmore. Everybody had their motocross machines, and we would go down over the hill and we could ride for hours. I would come home and I would just get on a bike and go over the hill for hours. My parents had no clue where I was. And trust me, we would try to hit these hills and get to the top of them. It would take us 20 or 30 times to finally make it. Doom, 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 down the fucking hill. As we would go, breaking handlebars, bending like gear levers and shifters and brake, and coming back, limping back with the throttle hanging off the side, trying to get up a hill to get to your house, just fucked up head, face, just battle wounds everywhere. Parents are nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. We were just down there doing it. And yeah, people got broken bones and fucked up and all kinds of crazy shit. But I don't know, man. I don't know if it was the baby boomer parents that just gave zero fucks about their kids. I mean, because I don't have kids, but if I had one, like I have a dog, but I'm saying if I had kids, I couldn't imagine something that you love super dearly, just letting them coming home from school, you're not even at the house, and then they just go off on a motorcycle into the woods for 5 hours by themselves with a bunch of other crazy motherfuckers, smoke a weed down the woods. Oh my God. Anyways, this is a fun video to do. It's bringing back so many times, but that was my motocross from age 11 to like 15 experience on that YZ80. I beat the shit out of that bike.
Available, they made mixtapes, built skateboard ramps in their driveways, turned basements into recording studios with whatever gear they could scrape together. This was the generation of zines, garage bands, and DIY culture. Not because it was trendy, but because professional tools and platforms weren't accessible yet.
There was nothing else out there. One more thing, I know I'm going on and on, but I want this video, I want people to tell me their experiences. Where I lived, again, up on the hill, we had deep valleys going down to the Illinois River. So, oh my God, when it snowed in the winter, these fucking hills were no joke, man. They were straight up and down, some of them, and I'm talking 200 yards. You know how much speed you can get in a sled if you take all the trees out and make a toboggan, like straight shoot, and put a ramp at the bottom of it? Dude, you get, 40, 50 miles per hour going down that bitch and just blowing your back. I'm surprised I still have a spine. Just all the launches we did off those fucking ramps at the bottom of that hill. And then just nothing but a creek bed down there where we built log cabins and shit. I don't know if there's ever going to be kids like this ever again. Honestly, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm really interested to hear.
so they built it themselves. That mentality stuck. Today, when something breaks, their first instinct isn't replace it, it's can I fix this? When they don't have the perfect tool or setup, they don't wait for ideal conditions. They work with what's there. When budgets are tight or timelines are impossible, they don't complain about what's missing. They figure out how to make it happen anyway. They're not precious about needing the newest model, or the name brand, or the exact right equipment. They just need something that works. And if it doesn't work, they'll make it work. This makes them incredibly valuable when resources are limited or situations go sideways.
Right.
They don't freeze when conditions aren't perfect. They just build the solution with whatever's in front of them.
That's so true.
Strength 7. Secure. Here's the one that defines Gen X more than anything.
Back to that last comment, though, that strength. I mean, I don't know what you want to call it. And I know anybody my age will know. We could literally fix anything with anything. If there's a garage and there's tape and tools and just, my dad worked at Caterpillar, so our garage was full of shit he got from Caterpillar. So there was always a way to fix something. And it wasn't about going to the hardware store. We didn't have Lowe's or Home Depot. It was just about whatever the shit you got in front of you, that's how you're going to fix this particular thing in front of you. And then you just went to work and then you made it happen. You just made it happen.
Else. They're the forgotten middle child of generations. Boomers dominated the conversation for decades. Millennials and Gen Z have been the focus of every think piece, every marketing strategy, every cultural shift for the last 15 years. Gen X, overlooked, and they're fine with it. They don't need the spotlight, don't need constant validation, don't need everyone to know what they're doing or thinking at all times. They just do the work, raise the kids, pay the bills, build the thing, without posting about it.
Oh, no. We post about it. Don't get it twisted. Gen X posts about their shit. We're not posting topless, shirtless, like Instagram thirsty ass pics. More shit like, look at my granddaughter did shit like that. But we're posting shit. Don't get it twisted.
Without needing applause. This isn't bitterness, it's freedom. They learned early that external validation is unreliable, that you can't build a life based on other people's attention, so they built internal measures of success instead. Did I do it well? Does this align with my values? Am I proud of this? That's enough. This makes them...
That's a good point, though, because I know I look like a crazy person in my neighborhood, but I walk around my yard all the time after I've landscaped it or after I've planted new flowers or, raked or whatever. I will literally walk around and just look at it because I'm proud of my home. I'm proud of my yard. I'm proud of everything that's immediately reflective of me. I'm just proud of that because I work hard for it. It's not really for anybody else. I like to walk around and look at it. It makes me feel good, people. And isn't that what life's all about? Don't you just want to feel good? I know I do.
Steady, consistent, unbothered by trends or public opinion. They're not trying to be seen. They're just trying to live well. If you're Gen X, or if you see these traits in yourself, understand this clearly. You're not jaded, you're not checked out, you didn't give up. You just learned to operate in a world that didn't hand you answers, didn't celebrate you constantly, and didn't promise you stability. You're self-reliant, you adapt without drama, you detect bullshit, you handle conflict directly, you work to live, you're resourceful, you operate without applause. These aren't survival tactics, they're strengths that shaped how you move through the world. So when someone mistakes your independence for indifference, or your boundaries for coldness, or your skepticism for negativity, remember what you actually built. You didn't need the spotlight to become capable, You just needed to figure it out on your own.
Hey, thanks for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate this, and I hope a lot of this hit home. I know it did for me. Remember, as always, God loves you, and so do I. Peace.
Hello?
Gen X.
Answer me.
Just raised like one.
Hello? Answer